Hey there, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach, in studio today with my beautiful wife, Natalie Burt.
And I
think she thought we were doing zebras and cheetahs.
I was trying to get my Valentine
show.
colors in.
Oh, I love it, the Valentine's Day. We're in studio today at the Greatness Factory, and we have a great show for you. We got a great show for you today because we're going to break down, really, it's kind of a scary show for me, to be honest with you, because she's going to ask me 10 great questions to go inside the mind of the original monster producer. We believe in building a marriage where you can thrive in partnership with each other in a crazy competitive world. We got a big coaching program called Monster Producer, and more people ask us, will you do something for couples? So my wife's got a new book out called Living with the Monster. We got a show called Living with the Monster. We're going to be doing a couples retreat this weekend called Living with the Monster in Florida. So today we're going inside the mind of the original monster producer.
It can't be easy living with a monster, but to have an extraordinary life, married couples have to rid themselves of doing ordinary things. Coach and Natalie Burt believe it takes a full commitment rowing in the same direction in order to stay dynamic and continually push each other to live a monster life. This is Living with a Monster with Coach and Natalie Burt.
Hey, welcome back to Living with the Monster. Natalie Burt and I in studio today. We're excited because we got a big retreat this weekend. We got a lot of people
Florida.
coming down to Sabbatical, our private retreat house down in Florida, and we're gonna be going through the book and the workbook and the book of Living with the Monster.
That's right.
So this show is intended to help people thrive if they're married to a ridiculously obsessed, crazy, fanatical driven person. So they got big dreams, they got big goals.
Yes.
And along the way, you've had some big revelation about this. We got a lot of people who are joining us on Facebook Live. You can hear this on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Podcast Republic as well. So today, we thought we'd flip the script. And you're going to be asking me questions.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I hope they're the same questions that you sent to me yesterday.
Maybe.
So that we're prepared for this,
see.
because here's one thing that Natalie said in her book that I really appreciate is we had a big breakthrough in our marriage when she quit trying to understand how I think, although it's important.
That's right.
She quit trying to understand and started cooperating with this who I was and accepting. Right? She quit trying to understand it and started accepting it. So I think you do need to try to understand the other person, but you need to quit trying to change the other person.
That's right.
This is how the good Lord made that person. This is the drive and ambition they have. They're not. It's not competing versus you. It's in cooperation with you. And I think when you begin cooperating with each other's vision, you start to see a much bigger picture. Okay?
That's right.
So I'm geared up. I'm ready to go. We've had a big day today at the Greatness Factory already, helping folks perform at a higher level. So you're gonna kind of grill me on some questions. I see a lot of people on here: Victor Maya, Ginger Stegg, David Ross, Roy Frazier, Kevin Prindiville, John Brubaker, Clay Whitaker, Chad Waters. What's up, guys? We're gonna go Q&A right now inside the mind of original monster.
So I came across this article from Forbes about 35 questions that will change your life. So it's gonna get a little intense, a little deep, but you know, I thought we should try to understand the original monster a little bit today. So let's start with our first question. What are you pretending not to know?
Now, I did have these answers prior to the show because I didn't want to get in and not have the questions. So last night I sat down and I write this out. What am I pretending not to know? Here's what I wrote down. How hard it is. This is what I pretend that I don't really know. How hard it is to run our house and run our family. Like I pretend not to know, but I do know how hard it is. To get our daughter here and there to run that. I also wrote down how this concept. I can't read my notes there. Right? I can't read my notes right now. But the biggest thing I pretend not to know is how hard it is to run the back scene of everything that goes on behind this. I get to get up every day. I get to be Coach Burt. I get to go about the world. I get to come home at night and dinner's on the table. I get to get up in the morning and things just mysteriously happen.
They don't
around the house.
Happen.
But
let me tell you how they happen.
But I pretend sometimes not to really understand how they happen. like dishes in the in the
Yeah.
sink, and a little bitty up and going, and everything's got to be. So that's one thing I pretend
That's a good
not
answer.
not to know.
That's a good
That I
answer.
really don't know, and I
Hey.
can't figure out what my other answer was. How nervous this concept makes you. Oh, here's the thing I pretend not to know. This concept of living with the monster, me pushing Natalie to write the book, to do the show, I pretend to kind of not pay attention or not take in the full magnitude of how this scares her. And what I mean is being in the limelight. Like, we're pushing her to do more of Living with the Monster. We're pushing to do more events. We're pushing to do podcasts. We're pushing because I think it's such a huge concept.
Well, and let me say this too. Yes, it's uncomfortable for me, but I do have a responsibility to share what I have learned and am continuing to learn being married to someone so driven. So it's bigger than me. So I have to put myself in an uncomfortable situation to share what I've learned.
And
so,
you got to know that we push each other and we challenge each other. And when she was thinking about writing this book, Living with a Monster, she goes through all of these feelings. What if nobody likes it? What if nobody reads it? What am I going to say? How am I going to say it? And then I made a statement. I'm like, your desire to help people has got to overcome your desire to be comfortable. You're going to have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to go out there and do this. So I pretend kind of not to listen when she says, well, this is nervous, this makes me scared, I don't know what to say. I kind of just brush it over as if it's a soft complaint versus a real objection. And I just keep going, okay? And I'm like, hey, we'll see you at the Greatness Factory this
See
afternoon
you at
because we're
1.
doing a show. So the question number 1 is, those are some things I pretend not to know.
okay. Next question.
Okay.
What don't you know that you don't know?
Now, this is a tough one, and I wrote down, I don't know. Because this is kind of unconscious incompetence. When you hear people like, I'm consciously incompetent, I'm unconsciously incompetent, that means I don't know what I don't know. And so I wrote down on this answer, I don't know what I don't know. I think there's things about running our business that Natalie don't know because she's not here with us every single day.
Right.
I remember going home one night and I was late and I'd been in a networking event and she was kind of beating me up a little bit and I made a statement I probably shouldn't have made, which is, sweetheart, you don't know how hard it is to be a person of interest. There's so
You
many
still
people.
use that line
There's
on
so
me,
many
by the
people
way.
want to talk to you and spend time with you and all these things. But here's the deal. There's things that go on every day that she don't know as it relates to running our business. Stress, pressure, different situations that happen. Just like there's things that go on that I don't know about. With what she's trying to do, run our real estate, handle all those things, because we do have a clear distribution of labor in our house. I run the coaching business, she runs our family, and she runs our real estate. And she manages that. And I don't tell her what to do, usually, and she don't tell me what to do. So she doesn't have to call me for a decision unless it's a big decision. I don't have to call her because I see so many husbands and wives blame their spouse on this. Like, I can't get my wife on board. And I can't spend $1 unless my wife approves it. And, oh, well, my husband makes the big financial decisions. Look, this is clear. She's got things she's got to do to run the lodge and run our properties. I got things I got to do. We don't have to consult each other because we trust each other. Now, if it's a huge decision, we'll talk about it. So what do I not know that I don't know? I don't know. I'm incompetent on this one.
I want to make a point here that the article made. It says the biggest obstacles are the ones that we don't see coming. So that's why it's important to keep people around you that have been where you've been to kind of help and guide you, see those things that are going to come at you.
Yeah, and I think, this is one thing I see a lot with couples is you got to expose yourself to
Yes.
new arenas. You got to get around bigger arenas. You got to get around people operating at a higher frequency. You got to get around power couples. You got to get around couples who have clarity about distribution of labor in their household. You got to get around other people because that exposes you to new things. And we started doing that years ago. Going to the original,
a game changer.
the original 10X event, Riviera Maya, Mexico. Then we started doing retreats. Then we started doing all these things. Then we're getting around other people. But we want to be a couple that inspires people. So
Yes.
let's take one more.
Okay.
If you got any questions for us on Facebook, just send those in to us because we're happy to take those. I'm excited about the people that are coming this weekend. We're going to go deep on some of these concepts. Understanding your partner or accepting your partner versus trying to change your partner is a big part of this message today. All right, number 3.
What is your why?
What is your why? Now, this is a topic that we hear a lot about. We've been covering in Monster Producer this month with Tom Love and the explanation of service. Like, what's your why? I wrote down helping people become intensely curious about their own future. I think my why is tied to everybody needing a coach in life. My why is tied to getting up every day and helping people perform at a higher level. Now,
let me say this too. I am so thankful that I am not a big part of this sentence, because we need to have things
Yes.
that motivate us and drive us besides each other.
Yeah. Now, I think that's a great point. Too many people, their whole why is tied up in
Yes.
another person. Like part of my why is providing for the family. Part of my why is helping our daughter get to a higher level, being a great husband. All those things are part of my why.
Right, we both feel
But
that
but
way.
my purpose, I had my purpose before I met Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my purpose on planet Earth is to help as many people as they can understand that they need a coach in their life to help them perform at a higher level. If all of my confidence is tied up in my wife, and my wife doesn't feel good about me that day, then it ruins everything in my life. I can't be good at work. I can't be good for my daughter. I can't be good at anything. Too many people, their confidence is tied up in their spouse. And every single decision they make during the day is because their spouse said something, or their spouse is down on them today, or mad at them. And I think you got to get past that, guys. Your purpose is bigger than just one person. Your purpose should be helping people on planet Earth. So now, when I go do this, I'm going to be able to support my family. I'm going to be able to, my daughter's going to be able to go to good schools. We're going to be able to go on great vacations. We're going to be able to give to philanthropy. We're going to be able to give to the church when I drive my purpose first. But my whole purpose is not just to be a good husband. Okay, so I think you got to start thinking about these things. Is that allows me to support and change our life. Okay.
Right.
So today you're watching Living with the Monster, Inside the Mind of Original Monster. These are 10 questions that Natalie's asking me. When we come back, we're going to keep going. If you're out there and you're a couple and you want to get on the same page with each other, this is a great book for you. This is a great show. We're going to be doing more things around this concept of living with the monster. All right, welcome back to Living with the Monster podcast. We're going to be pumping out more of these. I just see a tremendous need in the market for couples to get on the same page, to get in one accord, to push. You're so much stronger.
And we'd love your ideas too.
Yeah, we
There's
love to
things
hear
you want
this
us to
stuff,
discuss.
okay? I see people on here, Billy Lunsford, Ronnie Reed, David Bilbrey, the mogul, Bruce Plummer, Jim Thompson. What's up, guys? Hope you're doing great out there watching this. Brad Herrera, Jake Young. We always appreciate everybody watching us every single week. And listen, don't think for a second that we got it all figured out. We fight the same battles that you fight every day. We have a lot going on. We're trying to put it all in the box. We're trying to go out and do big things in the world. It ain't easy, okay? Some days we're on the same page, some days we're not. We're on the same page more often than not, though.
That's right.
And it's because of a lot of these things we're talking about. So today we're doing Inside the Mind of the Original Monster, where Natalie's prepared 10 questions, really 8 questions to ask me. We're going to be doing a retreat this weekend called Living with the Monster down in Seaside. So let's keep going. We're on
Okay.
number 4.
If you weren't scared, what would you do?
Oh, this
Not
would be-
saying you're scared, but
Oh, I'm scared. I wake up scared every day. But let me tell you what I do, because this is something I teach my monsters, John Muscott. When I get scared, I push harder. When I get scared, I don't contract. And I think most people around me on my team would tell you that. When we're not hitting our targets and when we're scared, what I do is I increase my intensity. But if I wasn't scared, this would be simple. I'd build the New Greatness Factory. The New Greatness Factory scares me because of the amount of money we got to raise, and we're building something from scratch, and all the feedback about the time of year that it's a building right now at one of the highest peak points to build something. I want to build the Greatness Factory, but I'm just trying to figure out, man, is this another big financial commitment?
well, it needs to make sense.
We got the lodge that we got the sabbatical property, we got a great property here. If I wasn't scared, I'd just go out there tomorrow and we'd start building that thing, because we own the land. I bought the land, but we're paying on the land every month without anything going. So I think that's one thing I would do immediately if I wasn't scared.
Okay, well, the next question is, what do you need to make happen?
What I need to make happen is raise $1 million. And I could probably do that in one phone call. Okay, what I could do is probably do that in one phone call. I just have to, and you have helped me, because when you have a big vision, you're gonna get scared.
Yeah.
You're gonna get scared. And every time I've tried to veer away from building a new
should
greatness
scare
factory,
you though, right?
yeah, the vision should be so big that it scares you.
It scares you. Yeah.
So every time I've gotten scared, Natalie's always reminding me, this is a vision that God gave you. You have this clear vision of the greatness factor. We spent $80,000 or $90,000 on the plans. It's so meticulous. And then we got to change this and we got to change that. And you know, it's like, what do I need to do to make it happen is make a decision, decide versus dabble, and say, we're doing it, man. We're going to raise $1 million or $2 million, whatever we need to do. And we need to build this greatness factor where people are coming to. And there's something in every person's life that they need to do. Okay, like you needed to write this book. We need to do this. We need to get you out there on the speaking circuit. We need to be doing couples retreats. I mean, this is just a big part of things we got to do. And if it's uncomfortable, you got it. That's one thing you should be doing. Lean toward it if there's fear involved in it. Don't lean away from it.
Okay. Next question. Should you focus on today or tomorrow?
Should you focus on both? I wrote down both. I am constantly obsessed with the future. Like I live a lot in the future. Okay, I don't live in the past.
Yeah.
I don't live in the past. I look at people and I don't care many times what their past is about. What I look at them is, do you come with batteries included today? And where are you going in the future tomorrow? So I think when you look at, do you live in today or tomorrow? Both. You come in every day and you chop wood and carry water. You have a long obedience in the same direction. Now, I want you to talk about on this one, because a lot of people tell me, take it easy, relax, you know, do those things, but I want you to talk about the consistency that you see of showing up every day and what that means to our daughter, for her to see us show up every day.
Yes.
and to get up and fight the battle every single week. Like, what do you think we're trying to teach her there?
Well, and I thought this to myself the other day. The very first thing I do every morning is put my workout clothes on,
That's right.
shoes and all, because that sets the tone for my morning. And I thought about this the other day. What am I showing my daughter by doing that? I didn't grow up in a house where that was a priority. We show that to our daughter every single day. She knows that we work out, and you know, among other things that we show her every day. But the biggest thing I ask myself is, what am I showing my daughter today?
That's right.
So I think she sees us work hard.
Yeah.
And if I feel like she doesn't see it, I remind her, what do you think mommy does all day? What do you think daddy does all day?
That's right.
And we talk about it, you know? So I think that's important.
And just so it's clear, in our marriage, the disciplinarian in our family is this one right here. She drops the hammer down, okay? I'm a sucker.
I'm raising a monster.
Like, I'm a sucker
I mean,
for her. Daddy, will you carry me upstairs like a princess? Of course I will, sweetheart. I remember the first time I gave my daughter a little spanking on the butt, and she looked at me like and started crying. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
He's
spank
like,
you.
it's okay.
Like,
I'm what?
Like, I'm so sorry that I
No.
gave you a spanking. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm gone a lot, and this is something we have to deal with a lot, because I'm gone, I'm on the road. I don't want to walk in and be a bad guy. I don't want to walk in and say, hey, let's
want
tighten
me
it.
to be the bad guy
So
all the time.
I want her to handle the bad guy and me to be the good guy, which is kind of how I want it to be in our office, okay? I want Katie to be the bad guy and me to be the good guy running around here, okay? So same thing's true in our household. So we got time for 2 more questions, and let's just keep going versus take
Okay.
a break here,
Okay.
and then we'll
Okay, next question. What do you want your life to be like in 5 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I want it to be a creative place. I'm most alive when I'm able to create. I want it to be less chaotic. I enjoy the pressure that we face every day. I enjoy the intensity, like our buddy Tim Grover says, we're doing a retreat with, pressure is a privilege. You wouldn't have pressure if you wasn't trying to do big things. Okay, I enjoy that pressure, but I'd also like less chaotic. I want structure in our company. I want no guilt when I'm not in the office. I feel a tremendous amount of guilt when I'm not here with employees. When I want this thing to run effectively and efficiently. So 5 years from today, I think we're doing 20 to 40 million total revenue. I think we're becoming a global training and development company. I think we're living, you know, I think that's going to feed into my next question about where we're living and where we're staying and what we're doing as a family. I think we're building greatness factories, schools for kids. I think there's all kinds of things we're going to be doing in the next 5 years. I think we're just
And I look back at our last 5 years and I'm like, it's only been 5 years. Like, there's so much we've accomplished and done in the last 5 years.
Go back about 7 or 8 years when we were at Stampede Dance Hall and Saloon, drinking cold beers and trying to get serious about life. That's what you need to go back and see where we were then versus where we are today. And we come a long way, Holly Vaughn. We come a long way. All right, last question.
Okay, so last question. I know that you do not believe in cotton candy or magic wands.
That's right.
But if you could wave a magic wand and we could do anything together, what would it be?
That one was that's the easiest question on the whole thing. We'd live in Florida. We would live in Florida or somewhere tropical in the winter. It's Tennessee weather, man. It's for the birds.
6 months out of the year.
In the summer, we go to a cool place, Michigan somewhere. We would take a private jet everywhere we want to go.
Amen.
We would take our daughter with us on everything, and we would just have a completely intentional, congruent life. Now, you say, well, you don't need a magic wand to do those things. That's true. Okay, that's true. But we have to build the structures. If I wanted to live in Florida for 3 months out of the year, how does the company function without me here? How do we fly out of there? All of these things go into the summer. So right now we're still in what Matt Monero would call an accumulation phase, which is where we're building and building and building and hiring the right people and clear distributions of labor so that we can build an international company that I don't have to be here. So 5 years from today, if I want to wave a magic wand, these are things that I would be doing.
Sounds awesome.
So those are 8 good questions, right?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything that you didn't know?
No. I mean, some of it surprised me.
Yeah, see,
but, you know.
These are things that I talk about all the time, guys. The question is, why don't we go manifest some of these things? Why don't we create some of these things? Why don't we do some of these things?
But are you having these conversations with your partner, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, I need to know these things. That I need to know that he feels that way so I can get excited about living in Florida.
Yeah, I got to sell her on living in Florida because
I love Florida. But
yeah. But here's the deal. How do we take our daughter out of school? How do we go down there? How do we have this? These are all things we got to discuss and talk about. And you know, but these are visions for me. So when you're living with the monster, asking these kind of questions, what are you pretending not to know? Why don't you know that you don't know? What's your why? If you aren't scared, what would you do? You need to know what scares your partner. Like, my wife needs to know that, hey, I'm looking at big financial decisions. Big financial decisions that could affect our future and our retirements and our savings and how we've worked 15 years to build this. So it's when I got that pressure on me, your partner needs to know what kind of pressure you're facing every day.
Right.
Why do they push so hard? So biggest concept of living with the monster, what would you tell them as we close the show out? What's the biggest thing they need to know?
I would say what you had said earlier about accepting your monster. Not trying to understand them all the time, because I do not think the way he thinks. And I feel like I have a monster inside of me, but it looks totally different than him. So just trying to understand that about each other, but accepting first, because you may not always understand, I feel like is the biggest takeaway from that.
And out of everything we do, Daniel Hodges said it once. Daniel said, man, bringing my wife, including my wife, changed everything. Yes. Just exposing my wife, because he used to hide everything from her, from business, the stress and the pressure. Then he'd come home and started talking to her about it.
Well, and you look at that, it's like you're protecting them, but that's not the case, you know?
Yeah.
Not necessarily hiding, but you feel like you're protecting them by keeping the stress from them. But it's not like that, you know?
Yeah.
You need to communicate.
And you need to understand. I think when two people get on the same page toward a big goal and big dreams and big focus, man, magic happens. And I hear it too many times. Can't get my wife on board. Can't get my husband on board. We talk about unpartnered growth, where one partner's growing, the other partner's not growing. This creates a major problem for a marriage, and it creates, especially when you're involved in something and you're growing, but you're not on this. You know, one person is not growing. They're stuck and they're stagnant. I'm telling you, I see it too many times out of people that we coach. You got to get them involved. Get them reading books. Get them listening to podcasts.
Yes.
Get them around other wives and marriages. That's what's going to happen, okay? Angela Hodges is on here. Daniel Hodges, some of our favorite people. So glad he includes me. We're both on the same page. Guys, that's what this show is about. We appreciate you watching Living with the Monster. We're going to be doing more shows together. Today's show, 10 questions to go inside the mind of a monster. Sit down with your husband and ask him these questions.
Yes.
Sit down and go, hey man, I got 10 questions I want to ask you, just so we're on the same page. And you're not living with a stranger, you're living with a monster. So this weekend, we're going to be down, and Ronnie Martin is on here, and Ronnie's our banker, and man, a conversation one night at Bonefish with his wife really initiated a lot of this concept.
Yes.
Because Cynthia is living with a monster as well. So when you're thinking about this concept, listen, a lot of people are fighting this. Get the book, Living with the Monster at CoachBurt.com. Get down to the retreats and really get out there and support your partner, guys. We believe everybody needs a coach in life. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach, and I'm excited about going down to Vero Beach, Florida with my good friend Tim Story. Tim Story is a celebrity comeback coach. He's coaching some of the hottest celebrities in the world, and man, he has a deep methodology about him. He has a deep hunger about him. He has a deep wisdom about him. So if you've ever heard me talk about this 3-step process of revelation, first we have revelation, then we have conviction, then we take action. That came from my buddy Tim Story. So Tim Story and I have partnered to do a retreat together.